My very first girlfriend cheated on me, and she had the help of the girl that I used to crush on that I lived next to. Here's how it happened. Let's start with the girl that I used to live next to that I had a crush on. Let's call her Stephanie. Stephanie was this light skinned chick, about, I think, a year older than me. And I thought she was the hottest thing walking. Like, she honestly was, right? Especially for what I thought was attractive at the time. She genuinely was a badass little bitch. And I had made some progress with her, I think 2 years prior to this point. At this point, I was 16 years old. And it didn't quite materialize into anything. I believe it was my fault. I was choking all the time. I couldn't pull the trigger. I was definitely scared of rejection, whatever it was. Plus, she kept talking about older men in front of me, right? It was very clear, her and her little sister, because she had a little sister, they had a very interesting clique and they had a very interesting preference. And I definitely didn't fit that mold. If anything, I was more like just the friendly neighbor that they would hang out with sometimes. Anyway, things kind of didn't go along with her. It didn't make any much sense. And again, she lived right next to me, to the right of my house. To the left of my house lived my best friend. And we're gonna call him Chuck. Chuck is a kid that I had known since, at this point, elementary school. Years and years and years. We go way back. We're still close to this day. And he was one of my two major best friends, right? But he lived the closest to me. It was about two houses to the left, and we had gone on so many adventures together, done so many things, survived so many things together. This was my boy. This was my ride or die guy, right? And he loved me too, but there was some weird tension between us, especially when it came to girls. Because you see, Chuck was a little more on the chunkier side. He was taller and bigger, but emphasis on bigger, if you know what I mean. And that made him very insecure, and that made him also slightly resent me because I'm not gonna say I was the most handsome kid or whatever like that, but I was definitely getting a lot of the attention from the girls that he liked than he was, right? And this time was no different. There was this girl that lived not too far away from all of us, like three houses down, and we're gonna call her Lauren. Lauren was this big titty teenage girl, one of those teenage girls that developed a little too quickly, right? One of them types. And she was a boarding school student. So we only saw her around our area during the holidays. The rest of the time, she was off in her all girls school. One of these holidays, one of these summers, he decides, my friend Chuck, that he wants to make a move on Lauren because they had gone to like the same water fetching point or something like that. We lived in Nigeria, by the way. This is all happening in Nigeria. And you'd sometimes go to these points where you could get, free water, fetch it, go back to your house, maybe from a well or from a tap, whatever the case was. Anyway, he was talking to Lauren. Lauren had a big brother that had gone to our school before, and a little sister that had also gone to our school. But that was about as much mutual friendship as we had with her. Didn't know much about her, and I just kind of heard, oh, he's talking to Lauren now. He told me about it later. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. She seems like a cool chick. I hope that goes well for you. From time to time, he would tell me to dress up and come with him to go to her house to just chill. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. Listen, I'm there to support my guy. Let's do it. I'm gonna be the best wingman possible. And for me at the time, all being a wingman meant was just stay out the fucking way. Just, hey, what's going on? Say some things that make him look nice, and you just kind of go do my thing and play with like her little sister or whatever, whoever the fuck was around at the time. We did that maybe 3, 4 times during that summer, the beginning of that summer. By the middle of the summer, something had changed. It was very clear that their relationship wasn't going the way he wanted, and he would come out of her house looking worried. And I was like, "Is everything cool?" And he would just kind of brush it off, like, "Ah, it's fine." Eventually, by the sixth visit or so, after going to visit her, he decides to take us both to his house. He's like, okay, come on, let's go to my place to go play some FIFA. That's kind of what we did. PlayStation 2 FIFA all day, every day, if there was electric supply, because in Nigeria it wasn't exactly, 24 hours. Right? But we went to his house to go play some FIFA after he had gone to visit her, after we had gone to visit her. And that was when he dropped the bombshell on me. He said, listen, me and her have been talking. We're just friends. She's made it very clear that she and I are friends. And in fact, today she made it very clear that the person she actually likes is you. And he looked at me and said that. And I was both surprised and happy slightly, but also devastated for my friend because I saw the look on his face. He wasn't happy. He definitely wasn't happy. But he had the courage to tell me what the fuck was going on and not be a bitch about it. So I was like, oh, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I guess I'll go talk to her, see what's going on there. Are you cool with it? He's like, hey, listen, man, you can't force him to choose. She chose you, so fuck it. See, that's why he's my boy. So from that point on, the roles completely reversed. It wouldn't be him taking me to go visit her. It would be me taking him. Wait, it wouldn't be him taking me to go visit her. It would be me taking him to go visit her. Right? That was how it went down from this point on. And needless to say, she and I hit it right off. Not because I even necessarily liked her as a person, but because she was very fucking sexy. Like I said, she was one of those teenage girls that developed way too quickly. And that became my first official girlfriend, like my very first one. I did the whole asking her to be my girlfriend thing. She said yes. It was very cute. It was on a walk back to her place. I had just come back from school. I was still in my uniform. It was a whole thing. It was adorable, right? And this was about a week before she had to go back to school. So it was like, you're my girlfriend until you come back for the next holiday. Next holiday comes back, and it was like the being away from each other made us miss each other more, and it was great. Eventually, we got to the point where we were spending copious amounts of time with each other, both in person and on the phone. So I grew up in Nigeria, right? The biggest phone service company at the time. I don't know if this is still the case, but at the time it was a company called MTN. Can't remember the entire name of the acronym, but MTN was the biggest. And they had this promotion they were running at the time. If you had a minimum of 100 naira in your phone credit account, right? Because you buy these credits, you scratch off a card and put the numbers in or whatever. If you had a minimum of 100 naira, which buying power wise would be the same as like $20, right? In America, or like £10 in British in England. I don't know why that took me a while to say. If you had a minimum of 100 naira in your account, you could do this thing where you get a free call or a free airtime if you had a phone call from 12:30 in the morning all the way to like 5 a.m. is when they start deducting money from your $100 again, right? So as long as you kept those calls within the early hours of the morning, it would be free. So again, those are the conditions. Have a minimum of 100 naira in your account, and make sure the calls start after 12:30 and end before 5 a.m. That was it. And that was how teenagers back in the day, not just me, would be on the phone with people and their girlfriends in particular for copious amounts of time, right? That was how we did it. So it was like damn near every night, talk, phone sex here and there, but mostly just talking and spending a lot of time with each other. It was going great. I was having a great time, and there were even a few nights where, because we lived so close to each other, she was like 3 houses, maybe 4 houses that way to the right of me. I would sneak out of my house when my parents were all asleep, and she would sneak out, and we'd go into her compound because every Nigerian house is gated and fenced, right, all around. She would open up the gate for me. I would sneak in, and then she would get her mom's minivan and open up the back seat, open up the Honda Odyssey, I believe it was. Close that, and we just like get crazy in there, make out, blah blah. It was fun. At some point, though, things began to slow down considerably. Things began to really not go anywhere. Like I would try to call her, it wouldn't, she wouldn't pick up, or I try to do those midnight calls with her, and she would swear she was sleepy, she didn't have the energy for it, blah blah, and then only to wait maybe an hour or two, call her phone, and you can know when. I can't remember what the rules were or how those worked, but back then you could figure out if someone was either rejecting your call, not picking up your call, or they were on the phone with someone else if you called them. Like there would be a special message that would say something like, this caller is currently on the line with someone else, something like that. And it's like, okay, you say you're asleep or you don't have any energy to talk, but clearly on the phone with someone else. What the fuck? That kind of thing. It just kept evolving like that. I would see less and less of her. I would hear from her less and less. Again, this is a girl that lived 4 houses away from me. I could walk there in like 2 minutes, but I wasn't seeing her much. Until one day, one fateful day, I was at my boy's house, Chuck again. We were playing FIFA. The electric supply gets cut off down Nepal. It's a whole thing we have there back in Nigeria. The electric power supply company was called NEPA at the time, National Electric Power Authority, something like that. And then whenever they did their job, we would say up NEPA. Whenever there was no electricity anymore, we would say down NEPA. It was a whole thing. So it was down NEPA at this point. There was no electricity. We were forced to like play Scrabble, Monopoly, chess. That's why we played a lot of board games, because when there was no FIFA to use the TV to play, then we'd have to resort to that. Anyway, my boy Chuck is like, okay, cool. I need some snacks. Again, he's a big back, so I understood. But he was also rich. He was the money friend. So he gave me some money and was like, listen, be a doll for me. Go get us a bunch of cookies. Let's eat and play Monopoly. I was like, fuck yeah, cool, let's do it. I'll be right back. He gives me some cash. I'm on my way to go get my fucking cookies. The first thing I see when I'm about to make a left into the kiosk I have to go get the cookies from is my neighbor, Stephanie, the girl from the beginning of the story, in all her thickness, in all her light skin thickness. And she saw me, her eyes lit up, and she ran towards me and gave me the biggest hug that she had never given me before. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, I get I'm attractive, I understand I have a girlfriend now. Maybe you want me now because of it, but what the fuck? What's going on? I noticed, though, she wasn't just hugging me. She was hugging me and trying to push me to go back. And she was like, no, let's go back to here. Let's talk here. I want to show you something at my house. I'm like, what the? I got to go get some cookies. Leave me alone. I eventually literally wrestle out of her grip, right? Because I had to wrestle out of her grip and bust my fucking left. And guess what I see? My girlfriend was some random dude. And I remember 4 very distinct things about him from just glancing at him from afar. 1, he was light-skinned. I took personal offense to that. 2, he was much taller than me. I was probably standing at like 5'9", 5'10" at this time. Bro looked at least 6'4". He was head and shoulders above my girlfriend, like above her, right? 3, the sharpest lineup you've ever seen. The crispiest lineup you've ever seen. And it looked like he dyed his hair or something. 4, he walked on his toes. You know, one of those people that they take every step, but they elevate themselves from their toes with each step. He was one of them motherfuckers. And he was laughing, and he had his arm around my chick, dangling over her giant titties that, again, were my titties at this point. Well, not anymore. And I remember seeing that, and I was devastated. I did everything short of fall to my knees. Literally. I was frozen. I was shocked. I was sweating bullets. And I was just paralyzed. I was like, what the fuck am I looking at right now? Now, here's the crazy part about what happened next. I literally just turned around and walk away. I didn't confront her. I didn't confront him. I just went, and I walked away. And I walked right back to my friend's house. And I told him what happened. And he was like, damn, I got to be honest with you, bro. I'm sad for you, but at the same time, I'm happy it wasn't me. We had an honest friendship like that. But I was genuinely devastated. I just found out my first girlfriend ever, my official first girlfriend, was cheating on me. Anyway, I remember calling my neighbor, this girl, Stephanie, and I'm like, what the fuck did I just see? What the fuck was that about? And she pretty much just started telling me everything. Like, listen, she asked me about him. They've been talking for a while. He's in university, which is all the things you don't want to hear as a kid in high school. Older dude, taller dude, university guy. It's just a guy you can't compete with, right? It's everything I'm not. And I remember distinctively while she's telling me all these things on the phone, I can hear her little sister giggling in the back. Till this day, I'm surprised I didn't crash out. In fact, Not only did I not crash out, I bounced back very well from this news. Not because I wasn't hurt, not because I genuinely didn't feel pain, but because I realized there was nothing I could do about it. So why stress? In fact, if I find it, I have a video from that very single day. I went around just messing around and playing around for the rest of that day with my friends. Obviously, to hide my pain, I didn't want to like break down and cry about it or nothing. But I took the I took the jab to the throat very well. I'm proud of myself for that. But at the same time, I understood it is what it is. She got a better, objectively better guy. She replaced me with an objectively better guy. I couldn't compete with that guy. I couldn't give her what he had. And he went to like a very, very reputable rich kid university called Babcock. If you're in Nigeria, you know what I'm talking about. He went to Babcock. His parents can pay a couple $1 million, million naira for his fucking tuition every year. Like, I'm not competing with that. So, needless to say, that relationship was over. I saw her a couple times after that, and nothing ever came of it. I just kind of said hi and bye, but I never took it personal. And I never took it personal because I understood the game. She replaced me with a better guy. Now, they didn't work out eventually. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt a little bad, a little better when I heard that news. Like, hell yeah, that's what you get. But at the same time, I realized it didn't help my cause to feel good that she had a downfall. It didn't make me feel better knowing that she didn't work out with that guy. Because end of the day, she did exactly what she was supposed to do. She got with a boss dude that I wasn't at the time. It is what it is. And that's the story of how I got cheated on by my first girlfriend with the help of my former crush. So when you hear me today talk about things like this, or when I talk about cheating, like you see in my video about cheating, and I speak about it so nonchalantly, this is why. Because even from a young age, I understood game is game, man. You can't be mad at it. You can't be mad when women do what they're supposed to do and try to find a guy that they feel safer with. It is what it is. The more time you spend seething in the pain and trying to do things from a place of trying to never feel that pain again, the more time you waste. And more importantly, the less evolution you go through. Imagine if the lesson I learned from that situation was that women are terrible, women are hard, women are this and that. I would just go down the rest of my life being this guy that hated women and acted from a place of hating women all the time without understanding them truly. At this point, I had already, even at a young age, I had already understood enough to know, you know what? She did what every human being is selfishly designed to do: look out for themselves, get the better deal, get a better bang for their buck. It is what it is. It's been Jason's favorite scientist. That with all this information, what you must.